Randy Barton here, Team Beachbody Coach, here to tell you how I reach my personal goal each year of peaking at 5% body fat. That's pretty tough. My body'd much rather stay 7 to 10%. How do I drop it to 5? Stick with me. So today I tell you how I I say peak like it's going up. It's actually going down, dropping down to 5% body fat during the summer. Every year that's my goal, is to get down to 5, and then I let myself equal out and kind of even out around 7%. Much easier to retain 7% than 10. Also, when I do what it takes to hit 5%, in all reality, it's getting tough because I'm unable to maintain mass and can actually start doing deficits when it comes to maintaining any type of muscle mass in doing so. Because there's 4 things that I keep in mind. Those tips, tricks, secrets I'm sharing with you now. Here's the basics of this. To get down to my normal summertime lean average thing, which is right now 7% body fat, feels kind of nice, looks great, able to still maintain some mass without having too much damage done in that area. And I'll drop down to between 1,800 and 2,000 calories a day. I'll do that to have a really about a 40%, 40, 30, 30 macro, 40% protein, 30% carb, 30% fat. The main one that I worry about is the getting the protein and then making sure the carbs don't go over that 30% mark, keeping them relatively low. Now that'll get me down to 7% body fat, and that's quite nice. During that, I'm going to be working out for an hour a day. I'm going to be doing at least a half-hour resistance and a half-hour of cardio training. Some days I'm doing a full hour of cardio training. Depends on what I'm doing for the day. But in that, that's my normal 7%. To drop down to 5, I take that model and I just kind of put it to the extreme. And my calorie intake dropped down to be having about 1,500 to 1,800 calories. So it's dropping it down 200 to 300 calories per day. In that, I take the macro levels the next step further. 50% protein, 30% carbs, 20% fat. That's what I do. I know there's a lot of speculation. A lot of people have different ideas when it comes to actually all of these steps. I'm just simply sharing what has worked for me for now 3 years. And so I drop down the calorie intake, 1,500 to 1,800 calories. I change up the macros to be far heavier on the protein side. And then for the workouts, I make sure I'm burning between 800 and 1,000 calories a day. In that, I do have a blend of extra weight training as well as cardio. I'll normally do a higher level, higher intensity of cardio training. Being a Team Beachbody coach, normally to get down to 7%, I'll stick with something such as Combat. Right now I'm doing Insanity, and even though during the workouts themselves, I'll burn about the same number of calories. I'll burn about 800 calories with Combat and 800 to 1,000 with Insanity. However, with Insanity, because it takes my heart rate up that much higher and it's that much more intense, I tend to see a bigger afterburn effect, which means it takes longer for my body to calm down and get back into heart rate range into 100 beats per minute or less. So I have a bigger afterburn effect with Insanity because of its intensity. So I do Insanity certainly when trying to dip down to the 5% body fat, because I am still burning more calories for a longer period of time. Now for this model, for those 3 things, the 4th thing that I keep in mind is that I don't want to do this for more than 2, at the maximum 4 weeks, because of the fact it can do detriment. And the fact is you have 3 sources of fuel within your body: the carbs, the blood sugars, the carbs, the foods you eat, the fats that you retain, as well as the muscle that your body has. And you certainly don't want to, because you will be dropping calories, you're going to be depleting your blood sugar level, you're going to be reducing your fat level, which means that the more available fuel source could be your muscle, and you don't want to do that. You do want to slim down. It looks great, it feels great, wow, you're going to love your mirror, it's going to be your best friend, but you don't want to lose what you've worked so hard to get the rest of the year. So you've got to be mindful that you cannot do this very well for more than 2 to 4 weeks. You'll notice that as you do that, when your carbs start to drop down, you're going to start feeling flat. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll soon know once you start to see the glycogen being depleted from your muscles, and it's not going to look as though your muscles are as big as they once were because the glycogen is depleted. However, the last week, which would be the week that I would take my peak of the year pictures, the last 2 days before those pictures, start incorporating higher levels of carbohydrates. We'll do that in a different video. Plump them back up, and that's where you really pop if you're going to take results pictures. But there's the 4 things that I do to drop down to 5%. I'll make sure that it is 800 to 1,000 calorie burn of cardio of workout in general. On the cardio, make it far more intense. I drop down to 1,500 calories a day, up to 1,800 calories a day. I make a 50-30-20 macros plan, and I only do it for 2 to 4 weeks. After the 2 to 4 weeks, I go back to where I am now, probably going to be back around 7%. Not a massive difference to where someone's going to say, wow, that guy's fat. But it still looks nice. It still looks nice, and you still feel good about it for the summer if you go to the beach, or like me, where I'm virtually never shirtless. But it's my personal goal. I don't do it for anybody else. It's for me. What do you do? All right, that's how I do it. It's actually Matt. Matt, you want to know how I do that? That's exactly how I hit my peak for the year. Try it. Let me know how it works for you. Maybe you have a different method that you like to use. Share it with me as well. I know some people would look at this and say, that's ridiculous. That's too extreme. That's not extreme enough. That's fine. You don't have to agree with me on this. It's just simply what works for me. It's what's worked for 3 years. And I think it might work for you. Give it a try. This has been Randy Barton with Shrink Faith and Fitness. We'll see you next time.